Let me talk to him. Let me talk.
Hi there, this is Anthony speaking en route to Mars with the Numbats. We are unable to be there today for obvious reasons, so me and the Numbats team have Marcus, Grant, Bruce and Boo send our regards. We have been trying to make sense of our behaviour when the Numbats, China and NASA were last together. The following presentation explains what went in over that 24 hours by looking through the lenses of leadership, group work and teamwork, performance in a virtual team environment and team processes. We have reflected on observations of our behaviour, supported by a framework of theory and analysis that leads to recommendations for the future. Now let's begin with Marcus and his observations about leadership.
On the leadership front, I began the exercise with an approach in mind. I felt that due to the short turnaround time before the first deliverable was due, that a coercive and authoritative approach was required. This was due to the feeling that insufficient time was available to explore the problem space. The team, however, consistently expressed a desire for a better statement of the problem space, especially from about 30 minutes, just to get all the team leads together to go where are we up to and how far do we have to. There should be a board.
Can you abstract it up a level and
Yeah.
explain to me more generally what we're seeking to achieve, literally our contribution is?
Yes, so that's... I will, but first of all, 3 teams together have to build this robot thing that can pick up a ball, go over a hill, pick up a ball, go back over the hill and drop it. It has to do it twice.
Remotely or control?
Via the internet.
Right.
Okay, so we've got 60 minutes to come up with a single blueprint model. So the 3 teams have to collaborate and get that done. So we've got to work on the control system, which I'll go through in a sec.
So have you progressed any further with the design at full team leader and the communications between the other 2 teams?
I think we've progressed now that we've got a 3-way thing going. Let me hit mute again. I think our design's been over there for about 25 minutes at least now, and it seems like the arm is the hold up at the moment.
Right. So you're...
On reflection, there are several improvements that could be applied in the future. I believe that a better balance between different leadership styles could have been achieved. I should have spent the first few minutes providing a broad overview and perhaps drawing up a rich picture, or explaining how our contribution fit with the work occurring in the other teams. This could have increased the efficiency and effectiveness of team processes and led to better outcomes. A soft systems methodology could have been applied several times during the project. Additionally, I should have managed my tendency to revert to technical work and remained in a leadership role that dealt more with relationship management than it did with the technical delivery aspects. Stakeholder management suffered greatly and could have been improved had an alternate leadership style been deployed. I should have ensured that planning activities took place rather than diving into the solution space immediately, as we could have unearthed some key issues sooner.
Now, what has Grant observed about teamwork?
At the beginning of the exercise, the personnel representing Australia formed into a group situation whereby the individual behaviours became the dominant act. Each member self-elected to take on individual tasks to achieve the overall objective. As an example, this scene was within 3 minutes of entering the Australian compound. Initially, their behaviour was task-orientated, not team-orientated. As you can see, the team leader is debriefing the group, however, their behaviour is independent of each other. Bruce is looking at his iPad is looking at Bruce. Anthony is listening, but the other Anthony is working on his computer. All this whilst Ted is present. A classic behaviour of individual mentality. Stuart Clegg, the principal author of Managing Organisation, defines a group working towards a common goal, but there is no psychological contract between them. I ask you, audience, is there a psychological contract between each member in this photo? Stephen Robbins, in his book Organisational Behaviour, emphasises that workgroup performance is the result of the summation of each member's contribution, as you can see this at the end of day 1. So when does a group become a team? Well, Dr. Susan Whelan, a professor of psychological studies and training and development, states a work group becomes a team when shared goals have been established and effective methods to accomplish those goals are in place. The key here is effective methods. What constitute effective methods of a team? Well, when they include people and task processes, as outlined by Egg Yashin. Team process has to do with how we do what we do rather than just what we do. We know team processes are variable and can influence team performances. Therefore, building effective teams involve minimising process loss and maximising process gain. Basically, you need to design a team structure and team processes that draw on the capabilities of all team members, where the leadership can, if required, be shared between the team. Dr. Whelan. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. This picture was taken on the second day of the exercise within the first 5 minutes. I had an opportunity to ask them why, and the answer was they had time to reflect. They realised that they were working as a team, so they sat down and discussed the team's performance and the objective for the day. The decision was based on real work together. I can confidently say there is a psychological contract between them. Thank you.
Bruce now explains how the model of punctuated equilibrium is connected to the behaviour of a virtual team. The numbers had functioned as a temporary task group, working under a time-constrained deadline. The punctuated equilibrium model shown in this diagram predicts that a team spends half its time fluffing about like we did being chooks. At exactly halfway through its allotted time, the team transforms to realise its purpose, was where we had a major reflection overnight. Then spends the remaining half of its time completing the task, which is when we turned from being chooks into geese, because we really flew home in the last part of the day to get the rover done on time in almost exactly 24 hours.
Yep.
But we can steer it with the remote,
Over the
don't we?
internet, yeah.
So what do they do? If we can steer it without these, why do we need these?
So the phone sends the signal to these sensors to say turn left, turn right, go forward, drop the bodies.
Oh, now are you sure that's right? Because why would there be three?
We faced all 5 major issues that trouble for a virtual team. We overcame them all, although you'll see that the ICT is a key area that you need to get around, your head around, and make sure it doesn't assume that it's going to be fixed for you, and our trust was already there.
We've got a established connection.
Alright.
Established connection.
Alright.
Houston.
So you've got the design now, right, Mark?
Let's end with an explanation of the processes followed by the team as observed by Anthony.
I'm here to examine process, or more importantly, how team processes influence team performance. The examination will explore both inter and intra-team processes, looking particularly at the task and relationship dimensions of process. The design and employment of workable task and relationship processes are essential in managing complex projects. These processes determine how teams share information, resolve conflict, be creative and solve problems. As was described on the previous slide, I will consider process from the intra and inter-team, task and relationship dimensions. However, due to time, we'll only address the inter-task and inter-relationship. As argued by Steiner, group productivity is the potential productivity of the group minus losses due to faulty processes such as coordination and motivational losses. The lack of coordination between all groups relating to task boundaries did impact group productivity in relation to the design and construction of our portion of the project, and ultimately negatively influenced the actions of the other groups. Inter-task process. Poor coordination and delineation of task boundaries between groups resulted in process loss and ultimately impacted the productivity of our group. For a significant period of the first day, the majority of the group members did not have a clear picture of what each group was undertaking and therefore their task boundaries. An example of a boundary that our group did not understand related to the fact that the NASA team had been allocated responsibility for integrating all components of the rover. However, at one stage, our group believed that it may be undertaking that role. It also became clear that the other teams did not understand the navigation and control portion of the rover that we were constructing included 2 large mobile phones that needed to be integrated onto the rover. The following video outlines a key engagement between the NASA team and ours relating to the emerging potential impact of the navigation and control system.
Good idea.
So,
It will not change your control system.
Thank you.
however, I think your question fell.
So I've got a couple of questions for you to consider, guys. We've got a mobile phone. We've got to use a mobile phone as the visual system. It's going to be quite heavy, probably the heaviest component on the rig. And it doesn't obviously have any connectors.
So can you put that towards the front?
Well, that's a good question. This is the module that we've got to attach it. Okay, this is what in the picture we have the mobile phone is attached to in some way. Okay, so somehow like that, and it then needs to connect to your rig. And I think you're going to have to find a way of balancing that out with the arm, because I suspect they're both going to tip each other over. You know what I mean?
But there's another,
Yeah. Now
this bit here, I'm going to chuck a phone on that as well, so there's going to be 2 phones on it.
is it really 2 phones?
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay.
So there's a phone for the navigation system and a phone for the control
Certainly
system.
means that we've got to get this as long as we can then to make sure you can put this on wherever.
Yeah, well, I think that's the key. So if it doesn't get any wider, for example, than that bit, so in other words...
If the group had adopted a more formalised problem-solving process, such as an abridged version of strategic assumption servicing and testing, as outlined in Jackson's system thinking, or a Bayesian type approach as employed by Toyota, it is likely to have enhanced problem-solving for the group. Intra-relationship process. Throughout the conduct of the activity, the group was faced with a vast array of problems or blockages. In the main, the group utilised a consensus-based decision-making process to solve problems. However, it became clear that this approach was not optimal, as it failed to adequately address several of the problems that surfaced, and as a result, a number of problems needed to be re-examined and activities replanned. The primary shortfall of the rapid consensus-based approach is that it did not adequately engage all affected participants with a stake in the problem, or dedicate enough time to exploring alternate points of view.
So if you come around, come have a look at what's on there. So right now we've got these things in the way that they can be configured. You can spin them around upside down and all that sort of stuff. That's about it.
Yeah.
Right. But we don't know what we're trying to fit it to. We've got nothing to fit it to.
Based on the analysis of team processes presented, the following recommendations are made.
Well, time flies when you're performing like Geese, and look at that, time's up already. Anyway, as I said at the start, we're off to Mars, and the reason we're going there is because Marcus's phone that's on the buggy, the batteries died. Apparently there was some sort of mix-up, and the lithium-ion batteries in the buggy, in the phone, subcontracted to Boeing. Anyway, we've got to go all the way there and replace the batteries, because Marcus is the only one who knows how to use the phone. How about that? Anyway, we've met these people on the way to Mars. His name's Dave Vader, and he's invited us over to lunch on the Death Star. So we'll see you when we get back, and we're looking forward to the next rover, probably for Venus or some planet in another solar system. Bye.